What else? I'm Ed Bond. You can contact me if you need any help or anything. Just, yeah.
Yeah, can you talk about your experience in consultation business?
Yeah. It is the very most important thing you can do. Any article that I've written that had any value whatsoever came out of consulting. Every one of them. Inpatriation, repatriation, product recall, product cannibalism, all of that came out of when I was working for companies. I'm working for a company, because you see it every day on the news, the company that they're trying to force this mud down into the BP hole, I work for that company. They were bringing back from Saudi Arabia mud engineers, and they were losing 80% of it in 1976, right after the OPEC formed. And they were saying, what do we do? What I came up with was a whole way of reintroducing a person to their home country, training them to come home. How do you do that? Came directly out of consulting. I can give you example after example after example. If you can, get involved. Now you've got to watch out. It's a tightrope. Because if you go too far, the money gets too attractive. And I came very close. I had my own businesses, and I had those. And I was making probably 6 times as much doing that as I was teaching. But you've got to have the credibility of being at a university, the pulpit, that the minister stands behind. That's your pulpit. But is it important? When I was the dean of the business school, I told every one of my junior faculty members, I don't want to see your research publications, I want to see who you're working for. Because by who you're working for, that's where the ideas come from. If they're paying you X number of $1,000s a day, they're going to expect results. So if you are not consulting, it means nobody wants to use you, or you're not giving them results. I think it's extremely important. And it'll help this gap from doing this. We've got to start pushing the gap back like this. Critical issue.
So what do you think about converting the dissertations to a book?
Yeah, I think it's,
And how?
yeah, it's not hard. And I have to be very careful because there's a very strong bias difference between the United States and Europe, and Australia to a degree. Books in the United States are irrelevant. Again, because by the time you write the book and get it out to me, it's outdated. I can't get your ideas fast enough. The reason, the lecture I'm giving tomorrow at Griffith is on what's in, what's out, what's going to be in the future of research in my field. And the reason I know what's going to be in is I read articles 3 years before they get into the journals. And I know what's coming up. I know what the hot topics are going to be. You're sitting there and you get your journal, oh, look at this, and I'm already looking at 3 years ahead of where you are.
As a reviewer?
As a reviewer and also as an editor, and I just have friends that send me, you always send stuff out for friendly reviews, and I'll do a lot of friendly reviews saying, like this guy yesterday, or Sunday on the HBR. That's a friendly review. But back to your question, in Europe, it's extremely important. Your reputation is built upon getting 1 or 2 well-selling books. Then you can add an article here, an article there. In the United States, it's irrelevant. Books are it's thought of as consulting work. It's not, when you get down to the end of the year, it's not thought to be research at all. So it depends on where you're going. I don't know where you're going. I don't know the Middle East and know how it stands. If it's more European, it'll be more book-oriented. But if you're a true researcher, the book is normally not really research. Your dissertation may be research, but you change it enough that it would read different than a dissertation, take my word. It wouldn't be as technical as what you're saying. I know a lot of people who moved from the United States to Europe and they had to do a backflip and start doing books. I've never written a book because I don't have that much to say. I've got HD person, I got 30 pages on any topic you want. 31 pages, I have no idea. Particularly for a book. You know, a very good friend of mine, Light, is a book writer. He claims to start a new book, to get it to the editor, to have it published is 10,000 hours. To revise a book from edition 1 to edition 2 is 5,000 hours. This guy's written 30 books, so he pretty well knows what he's doing. I just don't write books. I don't have that much to say, and it doesn't fit my ADHD personality. What else? Yes?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused between for a paper to be accepted should be well-grounded theory, and at the same time you encourage us to be more innovative. Because if we stick to the theory, we will reach the same conclusion as That one which she said,
It
if you
could.
treat your consumer well, they will buy.
Yeah, it's a good question, but it could or it could not. Let's look at it this way. The people that use happiness as a measure of productivity use a thing called goals. If you're happy, you reach your goals and it keeps you happy. What happens if I change the theory and say the theory is based upon in-group, out-group orientation? Totally does away with roles. And I'm using that to explain happiness rather than explaining it with the original way. But what it becomes is the foundation for what you're doing. If you look at Michael Porter's work, it's the foundation of economics, all the stuff that was going on for that 50 years that he translated into a foundation that we now can all use and we all now understand. It's the application of different theory, it's the simplification of theory, and then it's saying this is why this theory helps me understand. There's a theory, another area I work on is dysfunctional managers, impaired managers. And one of the impaired managers, a manager called an evil manager. Somebody that is just mean, nasty, does bad things. There's a whole theory of evil. Now, I'm going to build this whole thing on evil, and all the other research that's been done on dysfunctional managers, this is going to be totally different, but it's theory-based. In my opinion, I have to have a place to start, something that gives me an insight into what I'm going to do. If I use the same theory everybody else did, I would come up pretty much with the same approach they're doing. I'm flipping it around and saying these people are bad when you put them in the organization, therefore they're going to do bad things regardless of what you do with them. And what I'm trying to come up with is I've got 14 different impairments. And what I'm trying to do is to say, if you're a manager and you have to manage somebody like me that's ADHD, here's how you do it. Here's what to expect from this person. Here's the kind of jobs they're good at. Here's the kind of jobs they're bad at. As opposed to, here's a hyper-compulsive person. There's a terminology for it. But hyper-compulsive means everything's got to be lined up just perfectly and, and all the rest of that stuff. Obsessive-compulsive behavior. Here's what that person is. Here's what you do. Here's the kind of jobs you put them on. They're great accountants, but you can't make them marketing people because they can't think in those. They have to have an answer. They have to have it straight. So my point is, it's not the same theory. It's a theory that gives me a starting point to explain the behavior. The entrepreneurship article that I'm working with Mario is going to be based upon the theory of attention disorder deficit, which is a chemical problem. It's a serotonin problem. We're going to base it on that rather than where you went to school or did you come from a family business or all these other theories of why people become entrepreneurs. So it's the application of the theory rather than using the same theory. Okay? Yep.
For the academic promotion, is it important that the topic which you work in, the publication, is directly related to your basic science, basic background?
I can't answer that because the behavioral and the hard sciences and the ones in between, it varies dramatically. I would say in business it's not important at all. I would say in engineering it's probably very important. I would say in medicine it's probably very important. But in behavioral sciences, consumer behavior, OB, it's probably not important. So it really varies by what discipline you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Can be a person published paper that based on literature review.
Yes.
About,
There's a journal out of Australia right now called the International Journal of Management Reviews. And it's a very good idea. In fact, I just wrote an article for them. What they do is they say, this topic that I said there's 46 papers in the world on, write a review article of all those papers so that if he's interested in studying that topic, he'll buy our journal and look at that review. So yes, you can. Can you do it many other places? Only if you do a meta-analysis. Are you familiar with meta-analysis? Meta-analysis says, I'm going to take 50 different studies and combine them all together to give you the answer. And there's a statistical approach to being able to do that. But other than that, I can't say no, but it would be a rare occurrence for that. Anything else? Let's go home.
Thank you very much.